Good news is that it's the second to last Monday of the session. The bad news is that they did a lot of work today. What the hell is happening? Day 34 of the Utah legislative session. HB 274, no defense, all offense. This is Speaker of the House Mike Schultz's bill that has to do with the Sentencing Commission that advises judges on what the punishment should be for certain crimes. He has amended this bill to now restore all of the defense attorneys that were on the commission, but it still removes the juvenile defender and the indigent defender, and it still adds more members of law enforcement. This bill passed out of the Senate, which was its last step, but because they amended it, it has to go back to the House for a vote of concurrence. It is sort of in its little limbo phase, like right here, but I'm sure they will agree and it will pass for the governor's signature. HB 302, flagged by the legislature. It says that every city can only have one official city flag that has to be approved by the legislature, but they can have as many unofficial flags as they want. This is the response to Salt Lake City making the pride flag an official city flag. The only time official city flags have to be flown is at airports and courthouses and schools and places like that. This bill passed out of the House and goes to the Senate.
HB 362, Gold Rush, allows you to pay your taxes in gold if you mine gold.
It's for mining.
Oh yeah. If you are a local company that mines gold. This one passed the House floor today and goes over to the Senate. SB 73, think of the children and the tax revenue. It was initially a porn tax bill. It has now been amended and is an excise tax on adult content that is created in the state. They're using the funds to fund teen mental health. This one passed out of the Senate today and moves over to the House side.
HB 88, eligibility first, humanity second. This is the worst bill of the session in our opinion, being run by Trevor Lee. This would remove all the existing exemptions for public assistance programs for undocumented people, like going to food pantries, domestic violence support, immunizations, things like that, and mandate that every tax dollar in the state has to go to only U.S. citizens and not to undocumented people in Utah. We talked a lot about this bill last week. We also just released our podcast episode about this. That's on our YouTube and our Substack if you would like to go listen. This was up on the floor today and it got amended several times. Trevor Lee had a new substitute to this bill that removes the private right of action, which allowed every Utah citizen to sue if any undocumented person gets even $1. And it changes the crime for public employees that provide assistance from a misdemeanor to an infraction. And then there were two amendments also on the floor. One that clarifies that this does not apply to children that are undocumented, and another that would not apply this to domestic violence victims. Those are obviously good improvements, but this bill overall was still really, really, really bad. And so watering it down even slightly and giving people in the legislature more of a pass to vote for this bill is not a good thing necessarily. A lot of Republicans seem to be opposed to this bill, which is a good thing. So it's still on the House floor. HB 188, World's Strictest Parent School Edition, a bunch of things that related to drugs on high school campuses. This bill passed off the House floor today.
HB 84, syllabus, student ID, firearm, sidearm. Why am I making things up? HB 84, syllabus, student ID, sidearm, initially allowed for open carry on campuses, and now it allows for concealed carry on campuses, just as how it's always been in Utah. This was assigned to a committee in the Senate. HB 186, license to punish, makes it more of a crime to drive without a driver's license or a driver's privilege card. It allows the police to tow your cars, and it increases fines if you are driving without a license. This one was also assigned to a committee. New bills, new bills.
We've got a whole tranche of new bills for you, starting with SB 295, Mandatory Debate Club. It requires institutions of higher education like colleges and universities to provide equal time for speakers of differing political viewpoints, and that they have to have diverse viewpoints with their speakers in terms of ideology. This bill's already passed out of Senate committee and it's on the Senate floor.
SB 308, judicial gerrymandering. This reorganizes the district courts. The goal of this bill is to water down the Salt Lake County Judicial District with some of the other surrounding counties so that the 3rd District Court isn't entirely Salt Lake County judges, especially with the new bills that they passed to have their constitutional court panel thing so that they can have more judges from more conservative counties included in those panels. This one has been assigned to a Senate committee.
HB 118, Speak Before You Steer, has to do with commercial driver's licenses and would formalize the requirement that there is an English language proficiency evaluation before someone can get their commercial driver's license. There was a lot of scare tactic conversation going on during the committee and on the House floor. This will just make it harder for people that do not speak English as a first language to get their commercial driver's licenses. This does bring Utah in line with federal requirements, but there is some question about who will be administering these evaluations and what the actual evaluation criteria will be. This bill has already passed out of the House and it has been assigned to a Senate committee.
HB 540, judicial job injunction. First thing that this bill does is it creates an online system to be able to access court records and court documentation. The initial version of this bill included like live streams of all of the courts. The new version of this bill doesn't quite have that much of the information, but still being able to access the audio recordings of court proceedings. The big problem with this bill is that that it creates a prohibition for judges who retire from the court that they cannot join a law firm for 2 years if that law firm has any cases against the state. So if the law firm is suing the state or they plan to represent anyone who might sue the state, they cannot join those. This is another attack on the judiciary, another attack on judges. This bill has passed the House and is in Senate rules.
Don't forget, we have one of our very last Hill Talk events this Wednesday. We are going to be having housing advocates there to talk about the housing crisis, about homelessness, and what we can do right now to solve that problem. That is on Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Church and State in Salt Lake. You can RSVP at the link in our bio. Okay, we'll see you later.